Hello, it's Doris with Aldi Books, and I am here for another 3 on a Theme review session. So I have 3 books for romance readers today, and now these are not all romance books per se, not exactly, but I think that they are 3 books that readers of romance would gravitate toward. Okay. My phone has to look at me to know it's me. You know what I mean? Anyway, I have Loathe to Love You by Ali Hazelwood, The Guncle by Stephen Rowley, and Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. Yes. So I'll start with the one that definitely is a contemporary romance, which is Loathe to Love You by Ali Hazelwood. Now, I really enjoy Ali Hazelwood for 4 reasons. I think 4. I love romance or anything really with witty repartee. Like I love dialogue where it's funny and it's back and forth and, you know, maybe just a little bit snarky, but in a nice way. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a nice way. Okay. I like snark. I like that. I like witty dialogue. I like, the friend groups or family groups. I like secondary characters that have a cozy, nurturing, you know, I gotta have the snark, but I gotta have the nurturing too. I like those friend groups that take care of each other, or, you know, family connections that are there for each other. I like seeing that in a book. I also enjoy the trope in romance of hate to love or greatly dislike to love. That tends to work for me. And Ali Hazelwood does that a lot, like mostly all the time. The element that Ali brings to the contemporary romance genre is my 4th win, is that she writes women in STEM. So strong female characters that are in the STEM field, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. I really love that about her books. It really just works for me. Seeing these women doing cutting edge scientific research, I mean, but still my heart, okay? So these are 4 things I love about Ali Hazelwood's writing. Now, in the negative side, she tends to be very repetitious in her not her settings, in her plots, I would say. Not her plots really, just her setup. You know, there typically is this misunderstanding in their past, so the 2 leads just are antagonistic, and then they're thrown together in some kind of work environment, and they have to work through it, and in the process realize that they actually love each other. And I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. But it is repetitious. So I was a bit worried because Loathe to Love You is 3 novellas. So I was worried that reading 3 back to back would get a little too repetitious, because I don't read romance all the time, and I don't read Ali all the time, obviously. So, you know, when they're scattered throughout the year or years, I don't mind the repetition. But I was a little worried. But this collection totally worked for me. I was really fine with the 3 back to back. The other thing that bothers me, and it was emphasized in this book by reading all 3 together, is the size dynamic between her 2 main characters. It is always, and you can see it here, it is always big man and little tiny woman. And I'm so over it. You can see it's big man, little woman. She just varies their hair color. It's just kind of ridiculous, okay? Allie, break out of that mold, please. Like, this is probably my 4th book of hers, and this one had 3 different love interests, so that's what, 6 books where it's big man, little woman. Let's move on, Allie. Let's move on, okay? But overall, really enjoyed this and really enjoy Allie Hazelwood's writing. So that was a traditional contemporary romance. So then the next one that I want to talk about is The Guncle by Stephen Rowley. Now, this one, I mean, I just love these sorts of covers, okay? Like, they really do it for me. That cover style, just, I like it, okay? I know some people don't, but I do. So I was pulled in by this cover, obviously. I saw it in many places. My friend Greg from Supposedly Fun read it and enjoyed it, and it was like cozy vibes. So I'm like, yes. So I finally picked it up, and this is the setup. The Guncle, our main character here, you can see him there in his caftan. He met his best friend in college, and then through family connections, pardon me, it was just calling my name. Through family connections, his best friend ends up marrying his brother. And the Guncle, I don't even remember his name. It's been a few months. But the Guncle is an actor. And he landed in a pilot for this show that really took off. Like, kind of a Friends-esque type setting. And he, like, was one of the kingpins that really made this television show thrive. So he's a household name. But the show finally went off the air, and he's kind of slowly fading into obscurity, and that's because he doesn't want to act anymore. Like, he can't handle, he had to take a break because he was in a relationship, in love, and his boyfriend died suddenly and in a devastating way, and he just can't get past that. Hasn't been able to grieve or process it properly. So he's isolated himself from the film industry, from his family. Like, he had moved to the West Coast for the television show, and his family's on the East Coast. His best friend married his brother, all of that. And he's got these 2, the little niece and nephew that he was close to when they were babies, but, you know, he's just kind of distanced himself from everyone. So what happens, what occurs is that his dear best friend that he loves and adores develops cancer. And he can't handle it. And he doesn't go, and she dies. And it's just more devastation. His brother says, I need you. Because during this process, the brother has become addicted to drugs, you know, through this grieving over his wife going through cancer and then dying. So he says, I need you to come keep the kids. Well, actually, I need you to keep the kids out there while I go through rehab. And he's like, are you crazy? And the sister, they have a sister too. And she's like, are you crazy? I'll keep the kids. But he wants them out there because that's where his rehab is. And he wants to know that they're nearby. So that's the setup. That's the setup for this story. And I have to say that initially the first few chapters, I mean, it was fine, it was enjoyable, but I just didn't love it right away because the fun dialogue between the uncle and the kids was at times a little too precocious and cutesy. It just didn't pull me in, okay? But you start to see the Guncle thawing, you know, by being around these kids, and he's trying to get them to process their grief, and through that he is able to start processing his own, from his, the loss of his boyfriend, and then also the loss of his best friend. And you start, it just does get really beautiful to see their interactions. And then they start introducing adult characters that really worked for me. So these side characters, they made the story for me. So he gets a little bit of a love interest. And again, this isn't a strict romance at all. This is definitely a side plot. But the love interest, another actor, there was a skinny dipping scene that was just so incredibly sexy. Really worked for me. And also appreciate that how well Stephen Rowley did the fade to black. So there wasn't any overt sexual stuff going on, but it was really incredibly sexy the way he wrote it, and fading to black with it, as I said. And then this same actor, there is a scene with him and the kids, and I don't want to give it away because the way he leads into it, you're like, oh. And then it is freaking adorable, just freaking adorable. So I won't say anymore. It's all fun to discover on your own, but there was that one. I really loved when he decided to get back into acting, and he went back to his agency, and he ends up getting a new agent. I loved her and how that all worked out. I love the dynamic with his sister, and how they go through their differences and learn to get along. And then, obviously the brother. So just great the way this progresses. And by the end, I absolutely loved it. It was just so heartwarming. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. And then finally, we have Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This was everywhere. It is still like a couple months ago, like you couldn't open a video without seeing Lessons in Chemistry, I feel. I mean, that's hyperbole, but not by much, right? So Lessons in Chemistry is set, I think back in the 60s, kind of started a women's lib movement. And we've got this woman who is a chemist, working on her PhD, and just wants to be taken seriously, which you do, hello. But obviously women were not taken as seriously in the workforce back then. She ends up meeting this guy who is a few years ahead of her in the field and very well established and renowned, and they fall in love. But she won't marry him because she wants to keep her name and make her own name in the field. So this one was a mixed bag for me. I definitely enjoyed reading it, but there were also things that took me out of the story. Like, we're supposed to think that the two main characters at the beginning of the book have amazing chemistry, and I feel like I never saw or felt that chemistry. I was just told that they did. Just kind of didn't work for me. And then this is not a spoiler because the dude dies, like it's on the dust jacket, but dude dies pretty early on in the book. And the way he died was just so absolutely cockamamie ridiculous. And it was supposed to be cockamamie ridiculous, but that still didn't make it work for me. I just thought it was ridiculous. So stuff like that. And trigger warnings. Like, I was not prepared for the rape scene. Like, ugh. So, yeah. It's just like was all over the place with things going on. Things I like and things that I wasn't prepared for, or thought were stupid or just didn't connect with. Now, things that I loved, like I loved the voice of the little girl. So right as her boyfriend dies, she finds out pretty quickly that she's pregnant. She never wanted children. So that happens. And the voice of her daughter, Mad, is just delightful. I adored this creature. And also her dog. She's got a dog. I think his name was Friday, or I forget the dog's name. It's funny, but delightful. So you have passages, whole chapters that are in the voice of the dog. She teaches the dog language. It's great. So her interactions with her daughter and the dog are just great. I love them. And she eventually becomes a daytime host of a cooking show that just becomes a blockbuster hit. And her dialogue with her audience and empowering these women who are all mostly stay-at-home housewives and mothers, and just the way she empowers them and talks to them as, you know, you're an intelligent, capable adult. It was fabulous. I really loved that. So yeah, I enjoyed the book, but it's just kind of mixed bag for me. Things I liked, things I didn't like, things that worked, things that didn't work for me. And one more thing that I just wanted to mention about this book before I go. So she is in the field of science, and there is discussion about God. Like one of the characters that she introduces, there are several delightful side characters, but one that she introduces is a minister who himself doesn't no longer believe in God, but he's still in the ministry. And you can tell she has an agenda about religion and Christianity. And at one point she says that, well, actually, I was lucky enough to have the book with an interview with the author in the back, which was great because it made some things clear to me. And I'm fine with, you know, beliefs and people speaking their beliefs through their writing, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, no problem. So I didn't have a problem with it. It was just things I was thinking because I like to keep an open mind about others. But in her interview, she said that she wished that society would get away from religion and Christianity. In the book, she says that you can have faith and it doesn't have to be in God. And that is so true. And in her interview, she said that she wished people would get away from religion and focus on science and have faith in science, so to speak. And I thought, I mean, I hear what she's saying, totally. But that is just also a naive belief. And I say that because science is also driven by people. And we humanity are just incredibly flawed creatures. We all know that there have been absolutely horrific things done in the name of Christianity, in the name of God. Hello, Spanish Inquisition. Hello, witches burned at the stake. Witches. Hello, Holocaust. But there have been incredible things done for the good in the name of Christianity as well. I mean, the abolitionist movement, the hospital networks and education, so many things. And science is the same, politics are the same, education is the same. It's all flawed. Great things are done and horrific things are done in all of these fields, including science, because people push the agenda. So you can't just say that science is a pure form, because people are interpreting the results and people are choosing the research and people are driving this thought process. So I don't know. That's just been on my mind. I wanted to get it out there. I don't know if it makes sense to you, but it makes sense to me. So anyway, those are 3 books that I think romance readers would gravitate toward, and my personal opinions on them. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, and yay, another video. I'll be back soon. Bye.